χρόνια μετά τη θρυλική Μαχαμπαράτα, που αναγνωρίστηκε διεθνώς και έγινε σημείο αναφοράς στην ιστορία του σύγχρονου θεάτρου, ο Πίτερ Μπρουκ υπογράφει το Battlefield, μια επιλογή κειμένων από το ινδικό έπος που αγγίζουν το σήμερα, σε παραγωγή της Αττικής Πολιτιστικής Εταιρείας.
The theatre only exists in the present. Sometimes you can bring things from the past, but only if you can genuinely find the life in the present for them. All the elaborations of theatre can be very thrilling, and having practiced them, I have nothing against them, but gradually see that there is something better. There is something better with less clutter on the stage and a closer relationship between the richest of all spectacles, which is the human being. I came over here, looked around, and with Harvey we both agreed, sorry, no Mahabharata in Brooklyn. 2 days later, phone call from Harvey. Harvey, can you come back quickly? I have found the answer. He said, I was walking to BAM. The way there, I just walked past something that I've walked past every single day, which is an abandoned movie house. And he got in by climbing up a ladder and getting in through a window. Something is possible that is not traditional, that's making its own traditions as it goes along. And with my own work, I hope that when I'm no longer here, everything ideally for me would vanish, except the fact that, yes, there was once somebody who didn't give up, and it must go on in that way.
You have the authority. Stop this war.
4 ηθοποιοί και ο έμπειρος μουσικός Τόσι Τσουχιτόρη, ο οποίος είχε συμμετάσχει και στην 9ωρη θρυλική παράσταση, βρίσκονται επί σκηνής. Μετά από εξαντλητικές πρόβες 2 ετών, η σύνδεση ηθοποιών και κοινού ανασύρει εικόνες και συναισθήματα εσωτερικά, χωρίς εφέ και σκηνικά.
Battlefield is part of the 12 books of the Mahabharata, and it's really after the war. There's, I think, choice of Pieter Bruyck and Marie-Hélène Etienne to really concentrate on this part of the Mahabharata is probably because of the current state of the world. It's difficult to be so optimistic today when we look at Syria, Palestine, or Rwanda 20 years ago, and many other things happening around the world, Haiti, natural or human catastrophes at the moment. So it's really how do we deal, how do we overcome difficult times and experience? How do we, when we harm ourselves, humans, brothers, sisters, cousins, even family members, as we are all in the humanity, how do we recreate bonds? How do we share the sufferings? How do we share the shame of killing each other? And how can we also build on that, not trying to forget or to be blind as the king Dhritarashtra is, but to really face the challenges of current times. So for me, really, Battlefield is respond in a certain way and question what's happening in the world today. How do we deal with so many different and difficult times? The collaboration with Pieter Brück and Marie-Hélène Etienne in this case is, wow, it's a life experience. It's not a theater experience. And I remember the second day of the rehearsals, he said, I don't want actors, I want human beings. And I didn't know what it means. I was a bit lost for a few weeks. It's about trust. It's about vigilance. It's about honesty. It's about courage. It's about truth with yourself and trying also to communicate the best that you can with yourself and with the audience. It's a constant exercise. It's yes, it's like life. It's precious, it's strong and fragile at the same time. So for me it was, and it is every day, really hard exercise. This is not something that you can duplicate, reproduce as you will do sometimes in some kind of theater. It requires all of yourself, your heart, your brain, the people that you have met in the morning, the discussions that you have heard, the smiles that you have seen, the eyes of the people that you have crossed. You integrate everything every day in your work. It could be good, it could be nice, it could be sunny, it could be dark, but it requires this honesty.
The connection between us is born through rehearsals. Peter and Marie-Hélène, they instill that quality between us, that we work together. We're all in a rehearsal room at the same time. And in terms of during the run of the play, we have Toshi, who is the musician, the drummer in our play, and we do work and exercises with him constantly before the show, so about half an hour, and that connects us. There is also that alchemy, that magic that happens when 4 people, 5 including Toshi, come into a room, and you never know if it's going to work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. With this company, and it's remarkable, but it has been very, very special, and it's been a pleasure to work with the fellow actors. Performing around the world, there is a different reaction. In India, the level of subtlety, for example, because it's their story, they pick up in a very fine and detailed way, and they can laugh at things that maybe other audiences don't. But every place is different. Every audience is different. I mean, last night's audience is different to this afternoon's performance, to the audience from this evening, because there is that unique connection from each performance. That's why theatre is so valuable, because it only happens once at that moment. Even though you then perform the next night, that's a completely different show, a completely different connection between audience and performer.
In each city where we go and we perform, of course, there is first a different space, and the importance of space is really crucial to Pieter Bruk's work from the real beginning. How do we embrace the space as a partner first? And of course, the connection with the audience. We have all a different cultural connection with what theatre is. So we try also to listen to the culture of the country, to listen to the present of the country, what you're going through here as, Greece with the migrants and everything, how Yudhishthira, the way that he says that he should give everything to the poor, pay attention. And when we perform in France after the terrorist attack, same thing when we say, like, just try not to make wars, try to find peace and everything. So the resonance is always there. So we really try to see first what's going on in the place, the theatre where we are, and what's happening in the city, in the country, in the world at that time. And of course the language, because we perform in English, a play which is coming from an Asian part of the world, in the Western part of the world, where you have such an ancient also history of theatre. So we also try to see what will make sense, and how with the diversity of the people on stage and the team can also, if possible, enrich the theatre experience for a Greece audience.
I prepare for the show doing an individual warm-up. We do the work together with Toshi, and which is vital and very important to how we prepare. And also, you have to be careful not to over-prepare. You don't want to anticipate what you're about to do, and yeah, that's important. Otherwise, you'll come on like a robot. You have to be prepared to be surprised and welcome the energy that an audience will give you, and how you respond to that. That's crucial.
We approach different concepts in the play, the concept of death, the concept of justice, the concept of even destiny, and it's I mean, we don't give any answer. We don't say this is what justice is, this is what death is, but I think we open some doors that are very unusual to, especially to our to the Western spectator. I mean, it was unusual to me to sort of get my head around those new ways of seeing, of looking at death, of looking at destiny. But by embracing these new approaches that we sort of suggest in the play, it has actually opened up my mind and opened up my perspective on life and made me a more open person, and I think even more positive person, even though it might sound like, you know, death is, there's nothing positive about death. There's nothing actually positive about destiny when you know, when you think of it as the way we are used to think of it. But, you know, if you look at it from another perspective, destiny, you know, it's a destination, and when you know where you're going, then you know you can enjoy the journey. So, you know, it can be a positive concept as well. So that's what it means to me, the play. It's opening up those little doors that we don't know of, that are known maybe in the Eastern world, you know, the Buddhism and stuff, but for us it's all kind of like, wow. But it's an interesting perspective, and I like it. The minimalism, to me, is a way of getting to the essence of things. If you clutter the stage and even the actors with costumes and everything, with too much things, then you prevent the audience from actually creating their own little world and imagination in their heads, and there's no way you can match the audience's imagination on stage. You know, there's no way you can create something as rich as people's imagination, and by allowing that, then we get to go towards the essence of what we are saying, and they get to maybe get there as well with us. You know, since I started working with Peter, that's been my thing. Even as an actor, I'm trying to shed everything that is not necessary, and I think that's the way to go. And I mean, I'm waiting for the day I'm going to be proven otherwise, because maybe there is a value in having, you know, decorations and stuff like that. But for me now, I don't see actually any value in that. I think that's the domain for films, cinema, books, you know, because, you know, they can do that. But for stage, you know, the more you leave it to the audience to imagine, the better, I think.
Mahabharata with Peter 30 years ago, 9 hours play. So there are many, many different stories that I know that. But this time Peter decided one short, very, very important story from Mahabharata based on the war, is la guerre. This story came from 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. People already are fighting, big fight, killing each other. But now, still, people never change. War and war, killing each other. Why? No answer. So that's why, maybe me also, we ask to the people why or meaning, and what is human, what is religion, what is theater, what is everything. So Butterfield is condensed of this essence of the question. This very important. This for the Peter also. For me also very important. This end of Mahabharata is very, very condensed. So that is Butterfield. For me, that's meaning. Experience. I need 10 books like this. Because 40 years I work with Peters. From 1975 until now. So I play many different music for the Peters. But most interesting is Battlefield. Because last Mahabharata I did 9 hours play. I used 30 instruments on the stage. And I singing also. Everything, I strings, flute, and 30 different instruments, 5 musicians, maybe 30 actors. But now, Peter said, only 1 drums used. I must play in 1 drums is all kind of essence put in this. So that is very interesting for me and very hard work also. Basically, Peter's theater is the same principle. Without audience, theater not exist. Without silence, theater not exist. So 30 years ago and now, same principle, but different is materials. This instrument only 1. So also audience and theater, we change every countries. Also, my music is 1 drums, but I never fix the compose. So I used improvise always. Like now I talk with you. You are not decided question me. So if question decided, you ask me, I said text, oh yes, like this. But this theater music is same. Actor is fix the text, but I never fix the music. So actor with text, they are change very, very subtle feeling or action is rhythms, you said, and tempo, everything different every day. So with this sort of music, this acting, I put the improvise into them. Then I must feel audience, silence, how they move this all together, this kind of. So I said triangle play. Actors, me, and audience. So if triangle is perfect, theater exists. So if not, one is avoid like this. So this is meaning of theater. This.
The experience of working with Pieter Brück is, I always say that it's just different every day. I don't know, I think it's a difficult question to answer because working with him, if I were to begin to answer the question, I've been working with him now for about 8 years, and if I began to answer, I would need sort of all day, because if I gave a small answer, then it would immediately limit or make it very small as far as everything that he does or everything that he is. You know, I would never be able to speak for that myself, but I'll say that he cares very much about creating a group, and he cares very much about. He just cares very much, I think, about seeking a question through the work. You know, it's sort of using the work as a window to ask a certain question that just needs to be asked. When he asked me to be his assistant on this, it's really Peter and Mary-Elaine. They've been working together for years, and I know that with this piece, It's going to be traveling around and going different places where they can't always be with us. So I don't feel any sort of particular way about being asked to be assistant. I just think I am the longest member of the company so far. So if there was someone who was here a day longer than me, then they would be the assistant. So it's something I'm happy to do, and it's just a product of all the time spent, and sort of, I guess, it's nice to be trusted in that capacity. But more than that, you know, it feels normal. I think the bond that people can see with us on stage has a lot to do with the work that we do from the beginning. There's so much work about just how the group relates and how the group comes together. I think they spend a lot of time working to put together a group, to finding the people that can really move within another. You know, you find someone and you say, this person and that could work, and they take a lot of time and care to put together a group of people. And then even in the work, we do a lot of time. It just becomes very intensive. It's not sort of the thing of sitting down and saying, let's spend all our time telling ourselves where we're going to stand and do I look good in this light and all these things. It's just a lot of time improvising and asking questions and so you end up creating a group because you're creating a group inside and outside, because these are the questions that you go home with. So we leave, we talk about it, we're sharing all the time. So by the time we come out here, if on a good night you saw a performance where it looked like a group, I'm sure some nights it looks like, you know, 4 people going in different directions. But at what we strive for, and with Toshi sort of surrounding us with his music, is for that you know, hour and 10 minutes of the night that we can sort of share, be one voice telling one story, and then it becomes one experience for the people who we're speaking to. Just for that 1 hour, it's just everyone together for one experience, you know.
The connection with the actors on stage is fragile and strong at the same time. It has to do, for me, about preparation. The work of Peter is really about readiness, as Bhishma is saying in the play. It's about being prepared for everything, expect the unexpected. So all of us, we do prepare lots individually before the show, and also just before the show we also connect and do exercise also together to first harmonize, because we had different nights, different days, and see at which level we can discuss, rephrase, reorganize our voices or rhythm, our personal rhythms also on stage. So it's really about listening to every single tone, every single breath of each other, and see how we can connect to that to continue to keep the show alive and not being lying about what's happening on stage, because it's about the human relationship, so it's something that has to be real.
Οι συμβολισμοί αρκούν. Τα υφάσματα γίνονται ποτάμια, σάβανα, βασιλικά ενδύματα. Ο πόνος, τα αδιέξοδα και τα διλήμματα της μεγάλης δυναστείας των Μπαράτα μας μεταφέρουν πέρα από το χρόνο, στην πληγωμένη ειρήνη που δεν μπορεί να μη θυμάται, και πέρα από το χώρο, όπου υπάρχουν αδέρφια που αλληλοσκοτώνονται, που αλληλοεξοντώνονται, κυριολεκτικά ή ηθικά.
The minimalistic approach of the play, I think it's also the way that Peter and Marie-Hélène, they work with the actors, also with the entire team, the light, the costumes, and everything. It's about bringing many things. First, information, the text, the understanding, confronting the different views and way of what's happening on stage, and then little by little removing something and see what is important. And the work continues all the way. Now it's 1 year that we're on tour, on stage, and every single city we remove something, we correct something. I think it's a way for him to try to touch the essence of theater, what theater could be, an exceptional or with a short time, a natural and probably an unusual way also of communicating between human people, but it's happening once, and this has to be as pure as possible. So this is what I think we try to do, and this is maybe what you can see on stage. When people, they think about Battlefield, they expect maybe to see 30 warriors on stage and a lot of props and everything. No. It's 5 storytellers with a few pieces of tissues, and it's going back to the essence of storytelling, which the theater, you know it better than I do here in Greece, how it was. It was people standing in first the world of ideas and thoughts and emotions, which basically requires almost nothing than just a person to be on stage. So it's really removing one by one and see what is really necessary to keep, and what is necessary today might not be tomorrow.
Now they use the term minimalism as a sort of school of thought. And I think really, I don't think Peter thinks of it as sort of minimalism, and neither do we. In rehearsals, you see, we go through sort of every option that we can, and some things just work and some things don't work. Or some things we try for many weeks, and then after many weeks we realize we actually don't need so much. Maybe we need just this piece or just that, and that can say it all. So it's really a work of, you start with sort of everything in the room, and over time you can strip away just until it's at the bare necessity. And what that does, I think, for all of us, it goes back to the idea of us being one unit up here, is that really all we have is each other, because there's sort of nothing to hide behind on the stage. And so I guess and it's also sort of evocative in the sense of when you're speaking, it's whatever you can imagine is probably infinitely more interesting than something that I could show you. So if we can evoke an image from yourself, then, you know, sometimes that can be a much more personal and much stronger image, something that you as an individual can then walk away with. To act in bare feet, well, I think mainly in this production, you know, sneakers would look strange, or you know, that would be very distracting. But I also think bare feet, for me, when you put on shoes as a character, it sort of defines that thing. If you're wearing boots and now it sort of changes everything about it. Whereas bare feet, there is something pretty natural staying close to the earth, and that it puts you in a sort of neutral state. And I think all of us being barefoot, it simply comes from that. It's just something that, just like the set, you don't want to have to define something. You want to be able to leave that more to the imagination. The same thing, bare feet can leave a bit more to the imagination, and can leave everybody, I think, feels a bit more grounded in themselves when you're working in bare feet. A lot of times you rehearse in bare feet in any show just for that reason, just so you can find a sort of neutral state to work from. A secret from Pieter Brück. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it wouldn't be a secret, right, if I gave it away. I guess trusting the moment is something I've learned from Peter, and not to sort of plan ahead, or not to think this must be this way. I think there's something infinitely stronger about something that's true, and finding truth is very difficult, but it's infinitely stronger to find truth than it is to find some grand emotion or something. And these things will come, but a lot of times we try to you know, seek something grand in ourselves. And we don't allow, in seeking something grand in ourselves, in work and in life, a lot of times you pass over these tiny treasures of truth that you can really appreciate if you take the moment to say, okay, it's just this, just this. Sometimes just this can be enough.
You have the authority. Stop this war.
What will be my choice then?
Between a war and another war.